Nicaea, nestled on the shores of Lake Ascanius, was a prize coveted by many. This ancient city, with its towering walls and strategic location, held a commanding presence over the region of Bithynia. For centuries, Nicaea stood as a bastion of civilization, known for its bustling markets and vibrant culture. But by the turn of the 14th century, a new power was rising in the east. The Ottoman Turks, led by a determined and ambitious chieftain named Osman Gazi. Osman Gazi, a name that would become synonymous with conquest and empire, had inherited a small but fiercely loyal band of warriors from his father Ertugrul. These nomadic Turks, driven by a fervent belief in Islam and a desire for land and glory, embarked on a campaign of expansion that would forever alter the course of history. Nicaea, a jewel in the crown of the declining Byzantine Empire, became the target of Osman's ambition, its capture a symbolic and strategic necessity for the burgeoning Ottoman state. Osman Gazi was not born a sultan. He was a frontier warrior, a leader forged in the crucible of constant struggle against rival Turkish tribes and the crumbling remnants of Byzantine power. He understood the importance of unity and discipline, molding his followers into a formidable fighting force bound by loyalty and a shared ambition. From his early raids on Byzantine borderlands, Osman demonstrated an innate military cunning, a keen sense of timing, and the ability to exploit his enemies' weaknesses. Under Osman's leadership, the Ottomans were more than just raiders. They were settlers, establishing a permanent presence in the lands they conquered. This strategy, a departure from the traditional nomadic lifestyle of their ancestors, allowed them to consolidate their gains and build a power base from which to launch further campaigns. The capture of Nicaea, a city of immense prestige and wealth, would be a testament to Osman's growing power, a signal to the world that the Ottomans were a force to be reckoned with. In 1301, Osman Gazi and his warriors appeared before the walls of Nicaea, their arrival marking the beginning of a siege that would last for over a year. The sight of the Ottoman army, a sea of horsemen and foot soldiers, must have been a daunting spectacle for the city's inhabitants. Osman's strategy was one of relentless pressure, aiming to starve the city into submission and wear down the defenders' resolve. The Ottomans, however, lacked the resources and expertise for a prolonged siege. They were masters of open warfare, their cavalry charges devastating in the open field. But siege warfare required different tactics, specialized equipment, and an abundance of patience. Despite their initial enthusiasm, the reality of besieging a heavily fortified city like Nicaea soon set in. The walls of Nicaea, built centuries earlier by Roman emperors, remained a formidable obstacle. The citizens of Nicaea, though isolated and facing a numerically superior enemy, were determined to resist. They knew the strategic importance of their city and understood that its fall would leave the surrounding territories vulnerable to Ottoman conquest. Behind Nicaea's imposing walls, a determined defense was mounted. The city's garrison, though relatively small, was comprised of seasoned soldiers, and they were bolstered by the city's citizens, who took up arms to defend their homes and families. The Byzantines were skilled engineers and had fortified Nicaea to withstand lengthy sieges. The city's walls, studded with towers and protected by moats, were designed to break up attacking forces and provide clear lines of fire for archers and crossbowmen. The defenders also employed various ingenious tactics, launching sorties to harass the besiegers and disrupt their siege works, and using catapults and other siege engines to hurl projectiles at the Ottoman lines. The siege of Nicaea dragged on, months turning into a year, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. Osman's forces found themselves bogged down in a war of attrition, their early enthusiasm dampened by the stubborn resistance of the defenders and the logistical challenges of maintaining a prolonged siege. Despite their best efforts to cut off the city's supply lines, the Byzantines, through a combination of cunning and determination, managed to smuggle in provisions and reinforcements, frustrating Osman's hopes for a swift victory. The failure to capture Nicaea exposed a crucial limitation in Osman's early campaigns: the lack of a proper navy. The city's location on Lake Ascanius provided a vital lifeline to the Byzantine Empire. As long as the Byzantines controlled the lake, they could resupply and reinforce the city, rendering Osman's land blockade ineffective. This realization would have a profound impact on Osman's successors, who recognized the strategic importance of naval power in future campaigns against the Byzantines. Realizing that a prolonged siege would be costly and ultimately futile, Osman Gazi made a strategic decision. He would not commit his entire force to a protracted and bloody assault on Nicaea's walls. Instead, he opted for a more pragmatic approach, one that underscored his understanding of the shifting tides of power in the region. In 1302, after over a year of siege warfare, Osman ordered his forces to withdraw from the walls of Nicaea. This decision was not a sign of weakness, but rather a calculated gamble. Osman understood that time was on his side. The Byzantine Empire, weakened by internal strife and constantly under pressure from enemies on all fronts, was in no position to launch a counter-offensive. By shifting his focus from the heavily fortified city of Nicaea to the surrounding countryside, Osman could continue to expand his territory, consolidate his gains, and build a stronger foundation for his fledgling empire. While Osman Gazi may not have captured Nicaea, the siege was far from a failure. It marked a turning point in the history of the Ottoman Empire, demonstrating the growing power and ambition of this fledgling state. The siege, though ultimately unsuccessful, had a profound impact on the surrounding region. It served as a stark warning to the Byzantine Empire and its neighbors that the Ottomans were a force to be reckoned with, a determined and capable enemy that would not be easily deterred. The siege also provided valuable lessons for Osman and his commanders. It highlighted the need for greater logistical planning in future campaigns, particularly the importance of securing supply lines and developing siege warfare capabilities. Moreover, the inability to capture Nicaea underscored the strategic importance of naval power, a lesson that would be taken to heart by Osman's successors. The experience gained at Nicaea would prove invaluable in the decades to come as the Ottomans continued their inexorable expansion. Though Osman Gazi was unable to capture Nicaea, the city would eventually fall to his descendants. In 1331, after years of Ottoman pressure, the city finally succumbed to a siege, becoming a part of the growing Ottoman Empire. The capture of Nicaea marked a significant turning point in the history of the Byzantine Empire, signifying the irreversible decline of Byzantine power in Asia Minor. The loss of Nicaea was a devastating blow to the Byzantines, both strategically and symbolically. It was a powerful symbol of Christianity's retreat in the face of Islam's advance, and underlined the shifting balance of power in the region. The fall of this once great city signaled the beginning of the end for the Byzantine Empire, paving the way for the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople nearly a century and a half later. The siege of Nicaea, though inconclusive in its immediate outcome, was a pivotal moment in the rise of the Ottoman Empire. It was a testament to the ambition and military prowess of Osman Gazi, a leader who laid the foundations for one of the most powerful empires in history. While Osman himself did not live to see the conquest of Nicaea, his legacy lived on in the ambitions of his successors. The siege also highlighted the strategic importance of the city, a gateway between East and West, and its capture by the Ottomans had far-reaching consequences. It further weakened the already beleaguered Byzantine Empire, accelerating its decline and paving the way for the eventual Ottoman conquest of Constantinople. The fall of Nicaea serves as a reminder of the ebb and flow of empires, the rise and fall of civilizations, and the enduring impact of ambitious leaders like Osman Gazi, who dared to dream of building an empire.